Oh my god, I think I'm on. Yes. Hold on. I'm sitting on my dress. Fix my dress up. Okay. Let's see. You know when you don't have your dress properly on. Hey, peace YouTube, this is Slow coming to you today with a new topic of discussion. Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Hope everybody's well. Hey, hey, hey. Hey Suzanne. Hey Summer. Hey Misty. Check on in. Hey Ashley. Hey Chris. I see some of your names. Hey Roxanne. Hi Tammy. Hey Cubby. Hey missed you, Cubby. So check on in. Anyway, so I'm sorry about the last video. I think it was on my other channel, so it's not one that is relative. Hey on. Ba 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 ba. So I'm back on YouTube. Of course I start coughing again. It's like I think they turn up the radiation. I went to like adjust my throat, and I realized I have boba in there. I'm gonna take my gloves off. When Michael Jackson's like, hee hee. So I was gonna drink it just to soothe my throat, but it had boba in there. It doesn't help. So anyway, peace to the east, west, um, peace to the east, west, north, and the south. This is Slow Room coming today with a cough. It's just my throat like dry. No, the rainbow's already starting. I hate making noise and then coughing. I wasn't coughing this whole time. Okay. I'm not going to get into the rainbow event because it's already beginning. I'm looking at the rainbow as I speak. It's starting. Anyway, so we're going to get into the conversation about the loop that began in 1986 that is about to end. So, if many of you don't know, there was a gentleman, and I wish I had the actual video and could show it to you because it would make more sense. So, basically, I'm kind of um, going to share with you what I know had began. And this gentleman, who was a brown gentleman, he was online. He talked about a event that occurred in roughly 1986. When this event occurred, it literally caused a ripple in our time scape. What do I mean by that? According to him, and I can say that it verified not so much the event, but the loop. So even though he kind of spoke to the event, which was literally a war, some sort of galactic atomic war that took place in the sky. And when it did, everybody witnessed it. And when they witnessed it, there was a huge, either like an atomic type of flash that basically gave everyone amnesia, but took out the majority of people who are now imprisoned in that loop. Now, that loop, though we know it began in 1986, has encapsulated all of the dark Kabbalists that we know of. I wouldn't say all. Let me say this. Most of them are encapsulated in the loop. Others of us who aren't encapsulated in the loop think that we're experiencing is real. And because the loopers, the dark Kabbalists that are caught up, that are basically imprisoned in the loop, they keep perpetuating and propaganding the agendas based on their own imprisonment and keeping a consistent distraction so that you won't know that it's a loop. Now, many people, like, I think you've heard several different YouTubers speaking about um, the loop occasionally, like they think we're caught in the loop, they think we're in some of the programs. And I'm going to kind of give you some examples of how you can kind of confirm that we're encapsulated in a loop. Why is it that every single couple of years we keep retroing back to the same styles, paisley, bell bottoms, the same types of clothing styles, makeup patterns? Music is always remade. Why is it that when we have musical choices, why do they always remake it? Why aren't they making new music? Why do they always take the old and redo it again? Why do you have several different shows that always have a remix of it? Another one, another Annie, another show, another Ghostbusters, a remix of the old making a new. It is because the loopers haven't any sort of creativity. They're caught in a loop, so all they know is the time frame that they come from and when they died or when they transcended or when they dissipated. So they can't give any creativity, so they rely on the non-loopers to keep stimulating new forms of currency, which is forms of new ideology, new fashion, new technology, because they're caught up in a loop. All they can do is like archaically copy and paste or remaking old things because that's all they know. They rely on the others for originality and for uniqueness because they're stuck in the loop. Because of that, we are living in a time where the loop is about to close. Now, stay with me on this. I know I kind of need to give you a little bit of a background on it. So, there was an event that took place in 1986. 1986, there was a global nuclear, I wouldn't say nuclear, it was a flash, like a atomic flash that came from the war that was in the sky. According to many people that have some memory of it, they remember there was a battle in the sky and everyone knew about it. Everyone witnessed it, especially the adults. When the cataclysm happened, the atomic flash happened, it took away everyone's memory. But it, but again, it encapsulated certain people in that time frame where they aren't able to get out of the year 1986. So all they know is everything in 1986. That's all they live is 1986. That's all they know is the 80s. Remember years ago when I went to Brazil, I said to you, I don't understand why in every store I go to they're playing 80s music, because the loop closed. So the last loop had closed and then it started again in 1986. It begins then. And I think, notice I say, I think that the loop closes at 9 years. The loop closes every 9 years and then resets. They've been telling us that we've been coexisting in a world where we're living in 2022. I'm telling you, that isn't the year we're living. That's a Gregorian calendar. And also, they make up times and they reset things all the time. So we wouldn't even know the year that we're coexisting in because it's been fabricated and projected to us in whatever way that the dark Kabbalists like to, create, show, create the time frame for everything. Also, all the holidays are set up pinnacly as a marker so that they're able to see how much longer they have in the loop. Last time I gave you a homework assignment, I told you to watch the show Endless. In Endless, you will see that sometimes the loop is wide, meaning that there were people in the loop that were caught in the loop that basically were like seconds long. So this gentleman who was like a sergeant, he kept dying within like seconds every day, all day long. He was caught in a shorter loop. There was another group of people that were caught in a loop, and the loop lasted maybe 2 to 3 hours. So the loop would end every 2 to 3 hours, and then it would go back to the beginning to the same thing. But they were aware that they were caught in a loop, but there wasn't anything they could do about it. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. After a couple of times and cycles, you realize that you're caught up in a loop. And then you try to do things to break yourself free from it. Then there are people that are caught, the people in the show that were caught in a loop that was longer. The loop was, I think, the moon phase longer. So they knew that they had a longer period of time. Now, the trick of this is that some people are the loopers and others aren't. And because the others aren't, They are aware that the others don't know that they aren't the same as them. So they do things, they trick the others into thinking that we're all one, and that isn't true. And also, if the others are unaware and keep here too long and don't leave or don't try to get out of the firmament, the encapsulation, they too will get caught up in the loop and have to go over cycle and cycle until they escape the loop. Okay? The dark Kabbalists, for some reason, I believe they're the reason why we created the loop, that the loop began, that the loop might have began. Maybe they were the ones who created it. Maybe they're the reasons why we had the atomic flash. I'm not quite sure. I haven't got that far. Remember, this is what I think I know. Notice this. But that being said, the loop is about to close, and the loop will end in 2022. Roughly, I think in September or December. Remember, we read the book, The Anunnaki Return, in 2022? And also, I'm going to make another video talking about Jupiter. And I have my notes and everything because I'm going to tell you what Jupiter is, and it will bug you out. They literally are trying to encapsulate everybody in the loop. That's why they LoJacked people with a mRNA. It tags them, holds them, and locks their light like Ghostbusters. Basically, it's like the Ghostbuster machine. Remember, they would capture the ghosts in this like ectoplasm kind of what was it? What was it called? Hydro. It was like a hydro collider kind of thing. It wasn't that, but it was like this little machinery. They throw it out, kick it out, and then it would open up, and these light beams would come, and it would suck any of the life, any of the the ghosts or spirits. It would lock them in, put them in, encapsulate them in this little box, and they would put it in this machine and keep them safe. I think many of you have seen what's it called? Does anyone know what is it called? Does anyone know what that machine was called again? The Ghostbuster. What's the machine called? Do you know what the machine was called? No, the machine. Proton pack. Thank you. It was the proton machine. Yes, the proton jack. Thank you, my loves. Oh, I knew I had some geeks like me in here. I was a geek who just didn't have the memory of the actual name of it. So the proton pack, it basically sucks out the protons and keeps it encapsulated in this type of magnetic grid, and then it can be inserted in this little safe space, which is the metaverse, so that they weren't able to come out and cause havoc on planet Earth, right? That's what in the movie, that's basically what it was for. um, but because of that, they have utilized the Kukarachi kill shot as that form of proton jack. So basically, it's sucking in your protons, it's encapsulating it, and they are going to insert it inside of the metaverse. This is what I think. Okay. um Sorry. And because of that, they have to get as many people possible LoJack. So they found many clever ways to intimidate people, to bully people, compromise people's human rights by telling them, using fear mongering, using the social media, which is basically a bunch of Nazis, okay, um, contracted by Willy Wonka and his League of Doom during World War II, okay. And that's a whole nother story I don't want to get into, because remember, stay out of Willy Wonka's business, because if you know what's going on abroad right now, you already know it is a hack. It is basically a lie. um I don't want to go too deep in that because I want to stay in the loop, but do know what is being propaganded by Willy Wonka and his League of Doom and the ABC boys, all on television, because television was created for mind control. If you don't know that, just know that all television and radio was created with frequency weaponry to entrain and encapsulate and to influence your mindscape. Okay. That's what it was created for. We may say it's for entertainment, but that's just the sidebar effect. That's just the sidebar effect, so it allows you to stay long enough and be entranced enough so they can get into your subconscious and make you do things, think ways, basically fulfill their narratives. Okay? That's all it is. But needless to say, what's going on abroad right now is a lie. And who is being vilified right now? Notice I'm not using names. Who they're vilifying before used to be Hitler. And if you know what happened, you know that if Willy Wonka's vilifying someone, its chances are that person is against their agendas. And do know that people are being hurt by their own country abroad, and they're blaming it on the person that they're vilifying. That's all I'll say. And we got that firsthand from our own sea stars who are over there saying it is the people in their own country that are bombing them, and that it's the other team that is being blamed for it because they want to make it seem like they're doing it, but they're not telling you everything. Okay? They're like they're like bullies. And all they do is create, because they can create green screens, they can make lies of mass destruction. They got all these televisions, creating all these false narratives. So people are the sheeple eat it all up and absorb it and think everything they see on television is real. Those are the loopers. And also, how do you tell a looper from a non-looper? Loopers are complicit in the loop. They don't know any different. And when you talk to them about it, they're like the empty seaters. They're almost like insertable people. They're holographic people. Tell them about what's going on and all the lies of mass destruction, and they look at you like, oh, okay, well, I don't think so. They really they're unable to receive the truth because they're part of the loop. They're the victims. Some of them are the victims of the last couple loops where they're just caught up and they've lost their whole memory and all they know is the loop. So they accept everything in the loop because now they become part of the loop. They aren't here to leave and ascend. You have to be in the loop a long period of time. Like if you saw Groundhog Day, if you see Groundhog Day, you see when he first got caught up in the loop, he just thought he was kind of losing a little bit. He didn't really pay attention. And then he noticed over and over the day was starting over again. Okay? That's the ones. Now, if you're aware that something's wrong and you're aware of the idiosyncrasies, and also that's what the Mandela effect is. It's the residuals of the loop. Remember the Mandela effect? And we start to notice when you notice there's a difference, that means you aren't caught up in the loop. The ones who are caught up in the loop don't know any different. Everything is in sync because they are still in the loop. But if you notice the differences in the loops, mean if you remember remember it was Sex in the City, and you know the difference, it was Sex and the City, and you notice the difference is because you're not synced in the loop. When you don't notice the difference and you don't accept and you remember exactly how they're saying it is, chances are you are part of the loop now. So you don't know any different. So y'all, I know I sound confused and crazy. I'm so sorry. Big up to everyone who kind of gets, some of you know me for so long, so you kind of understand what I'm saying. So the fact of the matter is, the loop is closing again. We have a short period of time to bounce out of this loop. Just like in the movie Endless, they had to get out of there before they got caught in the loop, because if they got caught in the loop, they would be in the loop indefinitely. This is a different concept of what's happening now. It is serious, but you can get caught in it, but you have an opportunity to leave the loop every 9 years until a close of the loop indefinitely, which I think is 2033 or something like that. We are now going into the end of the loop. That is why during the end of the loop, you see all kinds of craziness. How do you know it's the end of the loop? Because there's all kinds of craziness and sicknesses that will show up. It's when it's the end of the loop, the dark Kabbalists get buck wild because it's a party for them. They're like, oh, snap, it's the end of the loop. Let's get buck wild. Let's have sex with animals, children, dogs, corpses. Let's just make people think drugs is good for them. Let's just make it so that children are confused about their sexuality. Let's just go buck wild. Why do they do this? Because it's the end. It's the end, friend. Because it's the end, they get buck wild, because then they go through reset and it starts all over again. So always at the end of a loop, you see a lot of sick, depraved, low field, low frequency, like the end of the world kind of things happen, because for them, that's what it is, because they got to start all over again. So it's basically, they acknowledge that the loop is closing, where others don't even know a loop exists. And then there's others who know it exists, but are having to find a way to break out of the firmament and the grid, which is about to bust. And if you see the gas prices rising, it's literally because it's the end. They aren't allotted to use, they weren't even supposed to use fossil fuel, because it burns and it destroys the environment. Remember, the Anunnaki are returned. They have returned. Jupiter, Nibiru, Planet X. The Zionists are not worshiping Saturn, they're worshiping Jupiter. That's why it's called Jupiter. The Jews, the original Jews, are from Jupiter. Jupiter is returning. It's Nibiru. It's Planet X. Just like the Martians are from Mars, Jews are from Jupiter. And the Jews are not the converts, the Khazar converts. They are the others. The converts took on the take of the Jews because they needed to pretend that they were from Jupiter, but they aren't Jupiterians. The true Jews are supposed to wander the earth until they're picked up by Nibiru. Nibiru is Jupiter. Jupiter rising. There's a gentleman who talked about this. I'll break it up. Big up to M, who brought me this gentleman who talks about Jews coming from Jupiter, and that they're not worshiping Saturn. They're actually worshiping, Jews are actually worshiping Jupiter. And that the fact of the matter is, they were here caught up in this loop and they get picked up. Some are volunteers, some otherwise, but they're called the wandering Jews because remember, they weren't supposed to settle in Israel. That's not their homeland. Those are not the original Jews. Those are Khazars. Those are converts. They're pretending and they're cloaking themselves as those people, but the original Jews are the ones they're attacking. Those are the ones from Jupiter, Jupiterians, Niberians. Those are the original Jews of the 12 tribes that are going to be picked up by Nibiru. I know it's too much. Is it too late for this? Anyway, I'm going to be on Zoom tonight. I just kind of wanted to talk about the loop. We're going to have to really find a way to break free from the loop. We're working on it. I know this concept may be insane. Please don't accept my concept. You may think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You may have thought I lost my mind. Do talk about it. I'm always open to hearing your opinion, and you know I'm not going to close it down. Be respectful. If you say nasty things, if you're very rude and disrespectful, you can have a difference of opinion, and I always want to hear it. So leave that in the comments. But do know this is a very short span of time that we have for this pickup. And the Anunnaki are here. Nibiru is here. Jupiter is here. And if you did your homework and watch Moonfall, you realize it wasn't the moon coming, it was Nibiru. It was Planet X. It was Jupiter. Anyway, big up to the Jupiterians, the Niberians, the Anunnaki. We're about to go home. The beginning of the Exodus begins now. The rainbow event is upon us. Within the next couple of days, some people will be exiting out of off this planetoid, this holographic planetoid, as the beginning of the extraction begins. Will be until the loop closes, which is basically at the end of this year. I think it's about September or December. I'm not sure. The dates are off. That's why they created the calendar to confuse us. Make sure you aren't getting emotionally triggered or responding to loopers. Loopers are unaware that they're looping. They haven't any idea, and they are basically being mind controlled by the head loopers who are stuck here. They're like prisoners who are stuck. So they're trying to make sure everybody else is stuck. And they figured out they were stuck before you did. So now they've set up a whole system to suck in the consciousness of those who are loopers as well, who are unaware, and place them into another prism system and the matrix so they can feed off of them and enjoy the amenities of them knowing when others don't know. That's basically what it is. So I just wanted to talk about that. The loop is closing. It's 9 years, the loop. You can kind of basically break it down. If you go from 1986, every 9 years, you're going to realize that we always reset. You're going to realize that that's why fashion always goes back to the 80s. That's why I noticed in 2018, because it had already began. The loop began again. I didn't know what it was, but I was hearing 1980s music, and then it's starting to go into 1990. The loop is closing, y'all. You got to pay attention. So big up to the zombies. I'll be on tonight at 9 p.m. I won't be bugging out. Um, I'm sorry I kind of say this all quick, fast, and I wish I could just. I wanna. I'm gonna do a breakdown of the Jupiterian. Big up to M, who shared the original person. Who that wasn't my concept. I didn't come up with it. I listened to a gentleman, and I was like, "Oh snap! It was on point." I'm gonna share his information. I just kind of added that to this video to let you know how diabolical these bastards are, and for the fact that they have a country that's bombing its own people, like the United Fakes did. Some people were like, why would they do that? Well, why did 9/11 happen? Where's the footage for the Pentagon? You know why there's no footage? Because if you would have seen what hit it, then you would have realized how diabolical the United Fakes is. Places will hurt their own people because they're not their own people, to basically get some sort of sympathy and have people go against the person that they deem the enemy. They are attacking another person that they've been bullying, they've been encroaching on, and now they want to vilify that person, that country, because they want you to share in their attack against them. It is a lie, y'all. It is a fact. That's not even conjecture. They are making things up, and they are hurting their own people so that you will hate the country that they want to target. So they have an excuse to do it. They're maniacs. They're loopers. These beings are dark Cabela's. Some of them aren't even real. They're holograms just set here to cause traps, to have traps. Make sure you aren't buying into the narrative. Mind your business. We shouldn't be using fossil fuel. That sucker is going to rise. And I told you a couple years ago, I told you, remember in the movie with Will Smith, I Am Legend? Remember I told you, I took a picture and I said, look at the gas prices. I said, when the gas prices hit six something, that means they're going to hit the Tupac remix. It's hit six something in California and a couple other places. That means a Tupac remix is coming. And you know it's coming because when they went over there and found out that in the country that's supposedly being victimized, that the president is a clown, who is a comedian, who is in all kinds of perverted videos about sex trafficking, had a whole laboratory funded by the United Fakes with all kinds of viruses of mass destruction, that was trying to hide all the paperwork, burning it. That's why they're so adamant at hiding it all. You can't make this up. You can look it up. If you think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, by all means, challenge me. But United Fakes, all this fossil fuel, Nibiru would never have us use this. This planetoid is a hollowed out part of the dark side of the moon. It is an Earth. Earth is Nibiru, Nibiru's Earth, and now we find out Nibiru is Jupiter, where the Jupiterians are here. The 12 tribes of the 12 tribes of the Jews are supposed to wander. If you listen to some of the rabbis, they talk about the wandering Jews. We aren't supposed to find a place here, y'all. That's why we never feel right here. This isn't our home. We're supposed to wander until we're picked up like E.T. We're about to be picked up if you don't buy into this illusion. This is a loop. It is a holographic system. None of this is real. Anything that they propaganda is a lie to gain sympathy and to gain backup. It's time to bug out or bug in. I hope you're in for it. I'll see you tonight on Zoom, y'all. Peace.